Welcome along to 101 Part-Time Jobs. Every single one of our episodes is available ad-free at our Patreon, patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs. I know that there are all these messages trying to sell you things that you may or may not want. So for £4 a month, that's around $5.50 US, you can get over 450 of our episodes and every single one in the future, featuring all the brilliant guests that we have week in, week out, completely ad-free. You can head to patreon.com/101 Part-Time Jobs, get all your episodes bother free, and you support us directly. Cheers. Jobs.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
I'm Cindy Lauper. My psoriasis was all over, even on my scalp, which may mean 4 times the risk for psoriatic arthritis. But Cosentyx works on both.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at Cosentyx.com or 1-844-COSENTYX. Ask your doctor about Cosentyx.
Hey, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. I'm Giles Bidder, and this is the show where we hear from bands about all the different jobs they've done. In 2010, I was running around London, East London, with my skateboard and a backpack, looking for some fun, and always I had Allo Darlin in my ears. Their first album, the self-titled 2010 record, was just constant. I can feel the sun coming in through the window on the back seat of the bus upstairs, going through Dalston, going through East London. This band has put out some of the best music I've ever felt in my life. It's so good. They stopped after a couple of years together, and now they're back. They've got a new album called Bright Nights. It has that unmistakable Allo Darlin magic, and we can catch them on tour. In October, they're around the UK. In Nottingham, they're playing at the Old Cold Store on Tuesday the 7th of October. Thursday the 9th, they're in London at Earth. Friday the 10th of October, they're at Glasgow Stereo, and the 11th of October, which is a Saturday night, is in Manchester, and that's at Band on the Wall. So you can get tickets to see Allo Darlin and feel some of that magic. But we hear all about that in this chat with Elizabeth and Bill, who have a new record out called Bright Nights. Thank you for being here. 101 Part-Time And I remember doing the door at the Windmill for a Fortuna Pop show, and I do remember sort of the bands loading in and loading out, and the distros loading in and loading out. And you know, when I was that age, I was probably getting like 20 quid for doing the door and sort of just trying to survive that. But I was like, how do people do that? I guess I'm talking about like indie rock and, you know, DIY labels and bands, because, you know, for so many people, including myself, that's like everything. That's my social life. It's kind of everything, you know. And I just got fascinated from that sort of age about like, how do people do it? Probably with one foot rooted in like, because I love it so much, I want it to It needs to continue somehow. So maybe that's a good place to start. Like, I mean, I know probably towards the end of the first, you know, when you broke up first time around, it's probably to do with money and to do with finances. But I mean, like, what's your picture of like how bands survive and how bands do it? I realize that's a big question, isn't it? But
well, I was just thinking, I listened to another podcast just this evening with Kate Nash, and she was talking about her OnlyFans being one way, but I feel like that wouldn't be as viable an option for me. I mean, it'd be very niche.
Bill, we've talked about this. You're bad.
I like to think so. I don't know. What do you think, but?
Well, I mean, I can only talk about it from our own perspective. I mean, I think our own experience. I mean, the time you're talking, when we stopped doing the band in 2016, I think finances had they had a part to do with it, but I wouldn't sort of overstate that. We realized early on, I don't know if you remember this, Bill, I'm sure you do, but before our second album came out, and we'd been doing quite well, and it was, you know, we could feel that there was momentum, and we were all doing part-time jobs or temp jobs in between going on tour, and we did a lot of touring in like 2010, 2011, 2012, and we, you know, I was working in a temp agency between tours, because the tours we'd only pay for like your rent for while you were away, and then you had no money for when you came back. And I remember we worked out how much we would need to earn, or how much we would need to play to earn enough so that we could have a basic wage of like £20,000 a year. I remember we worked it out. Mike worked it out. And it meant playing every night, basically.
365 shows a year.
Yeah. And obviously we had boyfriends and girlfriends, and Bill had had a family at that point, and it just wasn't viable. And I also remember that we could see other bands around us who were in a similar position, but who were touring constantly, who actually like stopped speaking to each other because they were so sick of each other. Which you can imagine too, like that would happen to most people, I think, if you're constantly with them in those conditions. And I remember it just became, unfortunately, very obvious. Like it was like, we can't actually do this. This is not possible. So for us, we decided instead, I remember it being quite focused on, we wanted to preserve our friendship, and we wanted to, live sort of normal-ish lives. Yeah. So we decided not to jump into it with all of that we needed. And that was a very conscious decision. It wasn't just, and it made it a lot easier too, because that financial pressure, I'm sure lots of other people who've been on your show have spoken about it, but financial pressure just adds so much stress to a life and makes you really unhappy. And we just decided to not do that to ourselves, which meant that we didn't become, professional full-time musicians.
It's very adult of you, especially because playing in a band is such like a fun thing, and I imagine it's easy to get swept up in the moment. But there is that that's one shoe, and the other one is like, okay, how do we physically do that? How do we put petrol in the van? How do we get home and not be skint? So it's I often think there's a tension there, isn't there? There's a tension between like,
for sure. And obviously we really loved being in the band, and we loved playing shows and recording and being together. So in a sense, we were preserving our joy of it because the money stress was becoming so intense that it was about to ruin it.
So 101 part-time jobs, doing all those different jobs and like temp jobs between tours. What are your sort of most memorable? I mean, because that's one thing that can't last forever. It's kind of like not sustainable. And at the time, it's not fun. But looking back on it, it can be quite fun, because you think about those days that you just fucked up at work, or you were late, or you forgot you had a shift because you swapped with someone else. What are some of those memories? And I'm looking for funny memories rather than sad ones.
I worked for in a temporal. It was only for a short while, and it was around Valentine's Day. A company that I won't name that does personalized cards, like you could put photographs onto a card that you would then send to somebody. And I was in kind of like, I guess you'd call it like a quality control area in that company. And so it being Valentine's Day, people used to like go onto the website and upload their photographs to send to their beloved, and it would be, it was nudes but by post, and mostly that was okay because it's like it was fine. But there are also things that you had to make sure that no one sent a picture with an erection that was more than say 45 degrees. I don't know what the actual law was, but it was something to do with distribution, right? The angle of the erection was important. And when photographs like that came up, you had to like get in contact with them and say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, this is against the law. We can't send this." And then people would always come back just mortified. I had no idea that people would see this.
Very good.
It was
you
only
remember
a couple
that?
of weeks in that job, but it was very memorable. Yeah, it's good fun.
You can bring geometry
people.
into anything, can't you? It's really.
Life is numbers. It's maths. How about you, Elizabeth?
I had lots of funny little jobs. Before I actually had a full-time job before we started Allo Darlin, and that was a really interesting job. And the reason I met Mike and Paul, the other guys from Allo Darlin, was because I had a co-worker who was friends with them. So it was like a colleague. And this is a completely strange, this kind of stuff that just happens sometimes where life, it just throws you these funny curveballs. But anyway, I just moved to London and I wanted to get a job in a record shop. And then I knew that Berwick Street was the place to go for record shops. So I was walking down Berwick Street looking and handing out CVs to like record stores. I saw there was this building that had a sign out the front saying that they were looking for a runner. I didn't know what a runner was, but I went inside and I gave them my CV. And they said, "Oh, you can come and like do a trial shift tomorrow." I was like, "Oh, great. What kind of, is this a recording studio?" And it was a post-production studio for film and TV, a sound studio. And I worked there. I just fell in love with the people. And people worked really hard. I found this out later. Like, to get a job as a runner there, I'd suddenly like jumped the front of the queues. People try so hard to get a job in places like that. And I just completely winged it. Had no idea what they did even. And just working there. And that was an amazing experience. And I got to meet my first day I was there. This is, the kind of weird stuff that happened. So it also had a Foley studio. And they were doing a production of a version of Elizabeth, about Elizabeth I. And Helen Mirren was playing Elizabeth I. And there was like this sort of raunchy sex scene with her and some prince or somebody takes her stockings off. And that day I was wearing stockings and they were in the middle of the mix session and suddenly there was some kind of crisis with the sound of the stockings being taken off. So my friend Alex, who's the Foley engineer, like comes to me and he's like, "Elizabeth, you have to come with me down to the Foley studio. This is my first day." I'm like, "What is this place?" And he's like, "Yes, can you please take off your stockings and make can you make?" And I had to make kissing noises with my mouth. Like, oh, it was so weird. I was like, "This
Brilliant.
is a really strange place."
I hope you got paid well for it. You're the talent.
Well, it was pretty cool. I tried to be a Foley artist for a while, but I wasn't very good at it. It was it's really quite hard to walk on the one spot with. You have to like. Anyway, they're funny people. That was a whole really interesting world, and I got to meet loads of really famous actors, and it was great. Yeah. But then the part-time jobs that I had, like temp jobs, there was also a funny one where I just get called up to work as like reception somewhere, man the reception desk for a day. And one day they called and they said, "We need you to man the reception at Abbey Road." And I was like, "Oh, I've heard of that place." "Oh, yes." I went into Abbey Road. It was amazing. First of all, there was someone who rang. They said there's going to be someone who's going to call. He calls every single day, and he likes to talk about the Rolling Stones at Altamont. And you don't worry about, like, you just be nice to him on the phone, but he's just, yeah, you can just ignore him. And yeah, he did ring, and we had this conversation about Rolling Stones at Altamont. And I was looking at, like, who's coming into Abbey Road today, and like it was Yoko Ono was coming in for, like, John Lennon, mastering reissues or something. And so I got to meet Yoko Ono, like, the one day that she to Abbey Road. The one day I worked there. I mean, it was just bizarre. Yeah, and lots of other, but mostly they were the sort of exciting jobs. Mostly it was working in 3 weeks covering someone's vacation in a, bank or something.
Well, you got to take the good days. Yesterday I saw Ian Hislop in Soho, and I sort of guffawed and was like, hello. And I think he thought I was about to mug him or something, but yeah. But that's the kind of thing with Soho, isn't it? Is that you can walk down a one road, especially Soho, but any big city probably, right? And you do get into funny situations.
Yeah, I think I came to know Soho so well because also, like, in these places, post-production studios, people just work all the time. You come in at 9 and then you leave at 11. And there's a lot of drinking that goes on, of course. So we would have these, like, after 6 o'clock, it would be kind of boom party. And we go down to Nicola and get the 3-pound bottle of rosé and several of those. And yes, funny things would just happen all the time. I remember feeling like Soho, I mean, London, I don't know the rest of London, but I know Soho really, really well. And it felt like a little tiny, it's like a little village. And I sort of realized that about London. London's just full of villages.
Jobs! Hey, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
It's been really fun to talk to you.
Good to chat, and looking forward to seeing you playing at these next run of live shows.
Thank you.
You must be really excited because I mean the farewell shows. I went to the Moth Club one, but then there's also one at the Scala, wasn't there? And it all looked amazing.
Yeah, that was a really.
They were really good. Yeah, they were fun. The Scala show, I have a really clear recollection of the night until after we finished playing, and then a huge blackout. And the next thing I remember is crying in the breakfast room at the King's Cross Travel Lodge after just sort of the enormous come down after the night before, because and look, I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but Mike was putting rum into champagne, and I didn't eat anything that day. So I was like, I'm not going to drink until the show starts. So I was very clear headed. For the show, which was we had a confetti cannon that we hired, which was like an insane fuck about to organize, but it was really worth it. But our friend Tom was in charge of firing the cannon, and there's this little bit of footage that I think actually it might be on like Josie Long's Instagram, because she was there that night, and it sort of pans around on the stage because we're all having like a little bit of a dance, and then you just see Tom launching this cannon like he's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. Just it was so much fun. We had balloons. I still had we bought 600 balloons to drop from the ceiling, and I still had 200 of them. Like kids were just blowing them up for years afterwards.
Yeah, awesome. You remember that forever, probably.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
I have a lovely rest of your days, and see you in a little bit.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Charles.
So there was Elizabeth and Bill from Allo Darlin. Their new record, which carries so much magic, is called Bright Nights, and you can catch them on tour. Head to their website to get those tickets across the UK. And see you at the London show. Cheers. Be back next week with some episodes with, drumroll while I have a quick look, Jasmine 4T is on the Tuesday, I'm really excited about that one. I really enjoyed chatting with her. And then on Thursday we got David Yao from the Jesus Lizard, which I'm very excited about. So cheers everyone. See you next week.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.